Don't feel like watching movies, so I'll watch people guess them instead. I don't know how it goes, I think it starts with your show.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of the Valleycast. We don't have a Steve, but we gained a mother flippin' Trace.
What's up?
Yay!
I haven't seen you guys in so long.
Hello,
Trace,
new Steve.
How are you, man?
I'm good. I don't have a beard as much. It's like less bearded, but I do have some creativity, so I feel good about it. I feel really good.
That was really good.
Yeah, I like that. Trace and us, I and us and Trace, we go back in if you don't know Trace, by the way, this is Trace Dominguez is it just, I'm sorry, I feel bad right now. What is your channel currently called? Is it just Trace Dominguez?
You can find youtube.com/Trace Dominguez plug, but you can also, it's Uno Dos of Trace. I figured, I'd go for the triple pun. I think it worked out.
It's really good. I like it.
Yes.
Trace is out on his own now, and I want to cover that journey. But real quick, to give everybody context listening, we ran parallel existences together, and then started to cross the streams in some very fun ways back in 2012 to 2015, while we worked for the DeFranco, but soon to be Discovery-owned SourceFed, which was also Discovery also owned DNews.
Correct.
Which Trace worked for, which was if SourceFed was, we cover the news really bad and a lot, DNews was, we cover science news really good and a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good compliment. I feel really
Very
good
thorough.
about it. Thank you. Yeah, that sounds
Like,
right. I
truly
feel like we need
intelligent.
more red strings in this explanation, because there's so many little things that connected us over that period. It was so crazy.
Yeah, for sure. But we were we basically started a student exchange program with DNews a year or so into SourceFed, and it would be like the corporate overlords of us, for the most part, before I think towards the end, and it might have been a little different with you, Trace, kind of left us to our own devices. But the one thing that they did do was go play with DNews up in San Francisco. So we were in Los Angeles, they were in San Francisco, and we're like, all right. And we would hop on a plane and we would go up to San Francisco, and you guys would sometimes come down to us. And I found out very swiftly that you did the same thing as we did, but with science. It'd be like, wake up, read an article, bust out 5 videos, go home.
That is accurate. It was very tiring. I didn't sleep a lot.
I have such a weird, vague memory of doing my student exchange portion of that era, because I think I only did it maybe twice, but the one I remember was the first one, and the hotel was a really old, scary hotel in the Tenderloin district, and truly I was it was maybe my first time in San Francisco, and then I Googled the hotel, and it turned out it was supposedly haunted, which I just assume all of them are down there. But I remember very vividly being freaked out in that hotel, and then waking up and being like, science is cool. Science is crazy. It was very fun.
Yeah, that San Francisco can be pretty scary place. I live in LA now. It's much warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less foggy.
Less foggy.
Do you miss San Francisco?
Sometimes. I think I miss the views. LA,
Yeah.
the view. Everybody in LA is you're either in a hill because you're rich, or you're out here in the flat area where everybody's just in the flat area. You look out and you see your neighbors' houses, and it's just what a view! Look at that siding; it's nice. And
everywhere the shadow touches.
Yeah, I'll go frolic in the grass, but there is none. It truly is just a concrete wasteland in between the mountains.
Well, Joe, you were saying, when were you talking? You were saying you take your parking garage is getting overtaken by.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Neighbors.
So our parking garage, especially during COVID this past year, has just been our playground. We can't really go to parks. We can't go do anything. So I take the kids downstairs. And honestly, it's been, even before COVID, our little playground that was convenient. That's where I taught my kids how to ride their bikes and rollerblade and stuff like that. And we can't go down there right now because people that we know within the complex that have had recent positive tests are just we're just gonna go hang out down there. I'm like, what are you doing? So we're just super quarantined now.
Ugh.
I've started. I'm going to start calling people who test positive for COVID Cocopo, as in COVID positive. So I'm trying to get that going. If you guys want to also do it,
I like it.
They were Cocopo.
Coco. I like it.
Trace, you're out on your own now. I want to talk about that, but you want to like do your own version of like how you got to where you are, starting with like DNews. I know you've probably said the story a billion times, but if you want to do the abridged from where you were and where you are now.
Yeah, for sure. So I was getting my master's degree. So I worked at Olive Garden, and then I applied to get a master's degree because I was like, I can't work here forever. And
I worked at Spaghetti Factory.
You get the spaghetti? I didn't know we had that in common. This like Italian restauranting. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm part of the
I'm part of the fancy sandwich gang over here. I worked at Crispers, so it's a pretty cool fancy chain. It's kind of a different. I ran with a different crowd, whatever. All right, go ahead.
We all would have met up at the bar after work. That's the important thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. We all go to the same shitty bar and shoot pool. That's just how it works.
Put our differences behind us.
Right. Yeah, whatever, you're chicken, whatever. You making chicken sandwiches? That's fine. It's fine. We got pasta.
Are they really endless breadsticks? I don't think they're endless breadsticks.
Wait, is Mazithra on your menu? Didn't think so. Here's some spumoni, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't have any of those real Italian things. It was Olive Garden. It was all just
Neither
cheese.
did we.
So I was working at Olive Garden. I applied to get a master's degree. I was rejected. I applied again the next year and got that. Got into American University in D.C., and I was getting a master's degree in communication because I thought my undergrad degree is in behavioral psychology and not a lot of jobs unless you go get a doctorate, and that was not really the path I wanted. So I ended up getting this master's degree in D.C., and that's where the Discovery Channel offices were, and I was like, I used to watch this when I was a kid. I'll apply to be an intern there. Got the internship, and while I was there, I started working with this group called Discovery News. It was this website that had been around for a long time that I'd never heard of. And they did science news every single day, mostly writing and some photos and stuff. Not really. They had some video, but it wasn't like their main thing.
More like blog era science news coverage.
Exactly. It was mostly written products of here's what's going on with NASA this week, or here's what's going on, they had different verticals, and we could talk about it forever, but it was really cool and fun, and I liked it a lot, and I applied to work there, and they said no. And so instead I worked for TLC for a year, working on shows like Toddlers and Tiaras and Big Sexy and LA Inc. and all of these tattoo shows.
Probably attributing to your behavioral science background, sure.
From that, it was fascinating. You'd get calls from the Duggars and their 19 children, and you're just like, this is crazy. What is my life? And
that's nuts, yeah.
Yeah, so the abridged version would then be, I started working there. Once I was in the door, once a job opened up on Discovery News, I jumped at it. And they were trying to get into video at that point, and they said, can you make video? And I said, I have never done that. And they said, cool, here, learn. And so I spent a year trying to figure it out, and then we launched DNews in 2012. And it's now known as Seeker. It's got 4 million subscribers, and it was a wild ride. So I was one of the original 3 hosts, and we had a couple producers, and I didn't know anything about how to work in this business, and it was so fun to learn on the job. And I was really lucky that they were able to just say, I know you've never done this before, neither have we, let's figure it out. And so DNews was a product of that kind of fun exploration of how do you do science journalism in this format on YouTube with, like Joe said, doing videos 3 times a day, every day. It was a lot, but it was really fun. It was really fun.
It's like Wild Wild West boot camp is kind of what it sounded like.
Oh my gosh, yeah, wickety wild, wickety wick wild. Yeah.
Trace, what was your impression of the SourceFed kids? Did you
y'all
like
were
us, were you like, who are these assholes coming?
Y'all were the cool kids. We're in the lunchroom at the table being like,
right.
So you guys want to talk about robots, or and you guys
and
were
this guy's arm got blown off. Isn't that crazy?
And you guys were down there
Florida.
making explosions and popping up and down, having really fun, crazy, wild times. And we're just sitting over, we're looking at your lunch table, that looks fun. Maybe we can do cool stuff like that.
We just did it as a coping mechanism. We were dying inside.
We were secretly trying to
days.
be you because every story that I would jump at would be like the science DNews-esque stories for sure.
Did they
Those
ever
were
say
always
like,
the
no,
most
you can't
interesting.
do that? DNews has got that. Like, that wasn't a thing, right?
No,
like,
there
you guys
was
could do it.
no limitations on story choice. Was I would say it was 99%. Whatever the hell we wanted for most of the time.
Yeah. DNews was like that as well. Once we transitioned to Seeker, it was a lot more like. By that point, the channel had been around for so long that.
When was that? When did it become Seeker?
It became Seeker in 2017, and at that point, I was the producer of the show and like was running the team, and it was really fun, but in a different kind of way. Like being a host writer, I was still hosting, I was still writing, but I was also like,
Oh no.
having to produce stuff and having to like manage teams and go to lots of meetings. So it was a completely different kind of job. And so at that point, it was a lot more professionally and streamlined. There was a lot more like editorial meetings with dozens of people who all were deciding what stories we could do instead of just like a few of us sitting in a room being like, this sounds really freaking cool. Let's talk about that. And then
You're saying too many unnecessary steps muddied up the process.
yeah, I think a few steps were added over the years that I really
Let's
loved.
dive into this.
Not a lot, not all of them, though. So then in 2018, like late 2018, I decided it was time to go on my own, and I left and started working on it. I had a YouTube channel that I occasionally would post on just for my own creative outlet. And so I just started posting more regularly, and I've been doing that now ever since, and it's been eye-opening to even after 7 years working for Discovery and then Group 9 and doing all it like I literally wrote 1,000 videos in 6 or 7 years, through my time there, and the shit
Not
that
an
I did
exaggeration.
Not know. What?
They said not an exaggeration.
No,
Like,
literally
it adds
1,000
up.
videos. And then, the stuff I did not know when I left and started doing it full time on my own was astonishing. I was surprised by how much I had to learn, and it's been really fun. Like, but also really, just a lot of like little nuances that I had missed being kind of protected within a corporate world. It's
Really?
been cool. Yeah, just like I never had to deal. If I wanted to get insurance for a project in the field, I would write an email to somebody in legal and say, yo, what's up? I need insurance to do this project. Here's the requirements. And they would say, cool. And now it's like having to figure out, like,
See, even that to me was more than I would ever know how or what to do about that. I was like, insurance on a project, I don't know anything about that, or that you would even need it or know how to request it.
Yeah. I tried to shoot a video just last year in Hawaii when I was there for fun, and I thought, well, I may as well ruin this fun by working, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I thought it'd
Sabotage
be
it.
cool to go to the telescopes that were there because I was on the Big Island. They have some really cool telescopes up high. But they're like, cool, in order to film here, you need to have this insurance certificate for like millions of dollars just in case things get broken. And I was just like, I don't
Just in
know.
case you break something for millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. So it's just, you find out while you're you learn as you go, just like anything. You run into a wall, you figure out whether you got to climb over it, blow it up, or just, ignore it and go a different direction. And it's like, been really fun.
So with
Do you
what
feel
you're
like,
doing... oh, go ahead, Elliot.
How dare you, Joe? No, go ahead. After you,
I
please.
was just going to say, with what you're doing now then, on your own channel, are you by yourself, 100% you from start to finish? You are the team?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I'll occasionally hire somebody to help out with like doing some editing or doing some research in advance, or I have pitched ideas to other clients and then they do it, and so I'll use some of the budget to hire people. But when it comes to my YouTube channel, it's probably like 98% my thought process, my like pitched ideas to myself and edited myself, and funnily enough, that's actually how DNews started as well. The people in San Francisco, I was still based in DC at Discovery. And so the people in San Francisco had shooters and editors, and the producer was right there on site. But me, I was setting up the camera and the lights in a conference room with a green wall, and like doing and editing everything myself, at least for the first several months. And so it sort of felt like a back to basics when I quit and started doing things myself. I had to just remember these things that I had learned about how to do all that. So it was fun. in that respect.
Do you feel like
I've said it was fun a lot, so I should probably stop saying it was fun. It was also
yeah, it's one of he's saying it's fun over and over, like he's really hammering.
It mustn't be that fun. I think he's trying to overcompensate.
It seems like a lot of fun. Yeah, it can't be.
Maybe
that
I'm
much.
just compensating. It's not actually that much fun. It's so fun, you guys.
I promise it's fun.
Do you feel like you're hitting your stride right now, or do you feel like we do, which is sort of slogging along and limping through this insanity that we're living through?
I think a little bit of both. It's always kind of both. The funny thing, I imagine you all feel this way too. You know, when you have your own thing and there's no safety net and there's no other people helping you make a thing, whenever you show up today, that's how much work gets done, however much you do. And that's it. And so it's like, that feels like a grind all the time. It's like, can I just play Animal Crossing? I just want to,
it puts guilt upon all your other activities in life. You're like, I need this for my health and for my enjoyment of life, and it actually makes the product better in the long run. But I also know that I could be working.
Yeah.
And maybe I should be working.
Yeah. And so I feel like in some ways I've hit strides in that I have a television show that I host with PBS out of South Florida called Stargazers. It's about astronomy.
Cool.
And so that's really fun because I get to learn this new skill that I didn't know. I've looked at stars. I know where Orion is. I know where the North Star is. But this is like a show for people interested in astronomy that I have to write and help produce and think of the visuals and how we're going to make this show. And it's only a minute long. It airs on PBS stations nationwide during what would be commercial breaks. They don't have commercials on PBS. So
what
it's
a
like,
cool gig.
That's
really,
so cool. It's really like a cool way to dip your toe into TV because it's like, I make TV, but it's only a minute long. And so that makes it a lot easier.
That's the dream.
Yeah. And so that's really cool. I get to do that. And then I also pitched this show that's going to be coming out hopefully at the end of February about animal intelligence with PBS Digital Studios.
Octopuses.
I want to do octopuses. We've got a lot of animals in the slate, so we got to figure out which ones are gonna work out for the first few episodes. It's gonna be fun to do that.
Exactly. Say what's up. You gonna say hi? No,
hi.
You're just gonna hide. You're just gonna show your beautiful little face, but not give them the voice. I see what you're doing. Look at that. It's
Jackson's
like
getting tall.
It's like I got wet, and then a boil happened on my shoulder, and then out came you. That's what happened. And then you ate something after midnight and became what you are now. You monster.
The hair is awesome.
He's got great hair. Quick tangent question for you, because I don't want this just to go by, because I do find it fascinating. Because my favorite thing about SourceFed, my favorite thing about DNews, and even I do Epic How To sometimes, and I got to bring that back recently. I like doing work, even though it's scary sometimes, that I'm not qualified for from an intelligence standpoint, but it forces me to learn.
Yes.
Like, I liked that about SourceFed, is that we were learning about current events, and sometimes we would learn about science and do our own little deep dives, and it was an educational process. What are some of the coolest things you've learned about astronomy since forcing yourself to learn about astronomy?
Oh, man.
Trey's like, there's so many stars.
There's so many.
My goodness.
Cool thing. The sky is divided into 360 degrees, so if you think of, like, you're standing in the center of a clock or the center of, like a compass, 360 degrees around. There's a point where they set it at 0 and, straight up in the air is 90 degrees. But you have to do it 360 in a dome. And so it's like figuring out where stuff is in the sky. They have a whole system for that, and I'm still learning it. But a pinky is about 1 degree if you outstretch your hand. 3 fingers is like 5 degrees. A fist is 10 degrees. And then the Hawaiian, like, shaka is 25 degrees. So if you're talking about where stuff is in the sky, you can say, oh, the moon is 25 degrees from this star. And so you can just, like, look into the sky, make a little, sign language Y, and be like, there it is. It's right there. And it's like, that kind of stuff blows my mind because I know it existed.
That's insane.
Right? Like, I knew it was that. I just didn't know how to do it. And now I know.
Wait, can you explain it kind of again? Because I'm very interested, and I don't understand. So you're saying if you hold out your pinky straight, that's 1 degree?
Yeah. And so astronomers will talk about where things are in the sky based on how many degrees and actually fractions of degrees things are from each other. So imagine, you are standing in on the Arabian Peninsula, some of the earliest astronomers to write things down had to figure out how to divide the sky. And so and eventually, you know, there's all these different systems, and the one we use now is based on these degrees. And so it's, you know, Mercury. I just recorded some episodes yesterday. So in February, March, and April's episodes, one of the episodes is about how Mercury is going to be the furthest from the sun that it will get in its orbit. It's called the elongation point. So essentially, you know, Mercury is going around the sun. It's closer to the sun than we are. So you will only see Mercury when it's further away from the sun, which happens at either sunrise or sunset. And so it will only get about 10 degrees above the horizon. Well, how the hell are you going to figure out what 10 degrees is when you're standing outside? It's like use your little fist, and you're like, so Mercury, find where the sun is and hold your little fist out. And you'll be able to say, okay, Mercury should be at the top of that somewhere. And maybe
so cool.
And it's like just the idea that at some point somebody was like, oh, well, that'll work. Yeah, let's just do that. And it's just awesome.
Next time I'm camping, I'm gonna try this trick, and it won't work. I won't be able to figure it out. But I'm gonna act like I'm gonna get the app, and I'm gonna use the app to figure out where it is.
Just
and then I'm gonna be like,
standing next to the fire doing this.
Yeah. If you look. Fist out. That's about 25 degrees. Okay.
People were burned as witches because they did that back in the day. Yeah. What's wrong with that person? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you go nuts for the recent convergence?
I did.
Like, I got it. Yeah.
But I was actually, it was cloudy every day, so I didn't get to see it up close. So I just had to digest the pictures online like everybody else who's in cloudy spots. But that's part of astronomy too. Is like this happens once in 700 years, but I happen to be somewhere where it's cloudy, and so I don't get to see it. And it's like, that's fine. It is what it is. It's disappointing. I got to see it. I knew it was coming, so I was watching the planets night over night get closer together, something that I never even would have known to do a year ago, 2 years ago. So that is the coolest part. I 100% agree with you. Like, the coolest part about the job that we do is like learning a thing and then getting to tell everybody the coolest part of that thing. That you can't top that. That is awesome. Like, that's what I live for, is doing that kind of stuff. Like, I didn't know what magnitude was, or I'd heard of it, but it's how you measure brightness is. And so if in a map, like a written map of the stars, they just make brighter stars larger circles. And the circle size is magnitude. There's just so many things to learn. And I have so many of those apps now, Elliot. They're the best. They're even the astronomers like that I talk to, the professional astronomers, they all use them too. So don't feel bad just getting an astronomy app out there and using it, because it's better to look.
Joe told me about this app that you've probably heard of called Seek. It's like that same thing, but for animals. You take pictures of animals, and it will automatically tell you like what species
and
it
plants
is, and plants, anything.
Oh,
if you pointed at a human, it says that's a human.
Yeah.
I used it on a moth flying by my face, and it caught it, and it was like, this is a moth. And it was like a horrible photo. And I was like, you got it. It was definitely a moth. It was crazy.
It seems like kind of accurate, as accurate as an app like that could be, but it's like future stuff, right? Like, take out your thing that's in your pocket, and it'll tell you all the information about the thing that you're looking at. It's like, we should... Crazy. I'm going to take that for granted real quick.
I mean, just wait until it's strapped to your face and it just does it automatically. So you're just like walking down the street and you look over and it's like, squirrel! And you're like, there it is. You're right.
Yeah.
Technology, that is a squirrel. That is it.
Thanks, not my brain.
Yeah.
If I had to see something describing everything before I saw it, I think I'd go crazy really quickly. I'm excited for that to happen. Have you seen any UFOs up there, Trace?
Ooh.
I mean, you can see satellites and space junk. I've seen the ISS fly over, which is really cool. But I haven't seen anything too crazy. I did really dig into those UFO videos that were released like earlier this year.
So did we.
It was really cool. I was into
that every week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know aliens are out there mathematically, but they're really far away probably, which is tough.
Yeah, it makes it a bit of a jaunt for them, I bet. It might take us a little longer to get over there.
Yeah.
Do you have a telescope? Do you do that?
I do not have a telescope.
I see them for sale.
My wife was going to get me one for Christmas, and I was like, don't get me one for Christmas because we don't have any room in our house for stuff. But save it for another Christmas when we have more room. So instead I bought...
Is it a good idea, you think, out here in LA? Like, do you think it's like you could see anything?
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, friends who live in like Encino have a telescope, and it's amazing what you can see. Cool. I went down when the comet Neowise flew by earlier this last year. I went down to Venice Beach, which isn't too far from where I live, and was able to catch photos of it over the Santa Monica Pier.
Oh, wow.
Like even with all of the light pollution, you could still see it, which is
cool,
awesome.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so you can still see some cool stuff.
I feel like we need to maybe like force ourselves and our children and just our neighbors to look into a telescope a little bit more often, because you don't realize what you can actually see and how well you, depending on the telescope, like, and it's a good reminder, I think, of our place in the universe and for us to get out of our heads and like be mystified for a second. And I'm speaking for myself. I need to get into a telescope and just go look at the frickin' moon.
Yeah. I mean, even if you have camera equipment lying around, there's a lens on Amazon that is $50. It is a 500 millimeter lens, and if you point that at, I have one. I pointed it at the moon. Let me grab it. It's right here.
And he never came back.
Leaves.
It's so big.
Wow!
So
Whoa!
This is $50.
That's a thermos.
And so
Yeah, that's a thermos, Trace. You can't fool us.
And so for
not that
$50, you can point this at the moon and like see. You can literally see the moon moving.
You have to pay Trace $50 to point
come
that
over to
at
my
the moon.
house.
Pay me $50. You can look at the moon.
But you can actually see the moon moving across the screen of your camera. Like you can see the craters of the moon.
Wow.
You can see lots of other cool stuff on the surface of the moon. But the thing that blew my mind was you can watch the moon move in real time. Like you just point this at the moon and then it moves across the screen, and you're just like, that's insanity.
That is insanity. That's crazy.
And so you don't necessarily need a telescope. I'm not going to discourage you, Joe, from getting one, because then I can come over to your house and look at the sky. But
real quick, two things. One, it told me it's going to end the meeting in 10 minutes, so when it does, we'll just get back on and start it again.
okay.
You can't set it to...
You have to. I haven't bought like a pro thing yet, so we'll just come back. But then secondly, I took the kids out to the... It's so fun to watch like that little thing that you were just talking about, watching the moon move. Like those moments that, again, put perspective of who we are and where we are in relation to the universe and everything, and allow us to open up our minds, whatever. They're nice. And I took my kids for an evening drive. We were like, let's not be crazy. Let's get out of here. And we ended up going through like Topanga Canyon, going over to the beach, like a backwards way, found a slice of sand where nobody was around, and it was right when the sun was going down. And it was, you get to see that moment, and I was like, watch the sun, you guys. This is actually really cool. And we're just watching the sun, and you can watch it in real time, and then you watch it leave. You watch it go right below the horizon, and you forget how cool that is. It's almost inspiring. It's just a good reminder of like, yeah, we're just freaking flying, man, through space.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, my therapist keeps a photo of the galaxy behind the couch, so that, because he's like, people, he's like, they get real upset, and I just like to look at that and be like, it's fine, we're fine, we're just so small. Okay. Sometimes I'm like, you're looking at the galaxy right now, aren't you? You're not looking or listening to me at all. All right, perfect. It's a good move, though.
Does it help you to know that we are a tiny speck on a whatever, or is it that's a crisis? You're like, oh my God, we're so small. There's so much stuff. Like, which way do you go, or neither?
I think it's very beautiful. Mm-hmm. I think it's very crazy and very awe-inspiring. I don't think it makes me feel small in a bad way.
Yeah.
Just my normal good worthlessness, I think. It
makes me feel small in the the bullshit doesn't matter. Like, it makes me appreciate that. It's not like oh my God, I don't matter. What am I gonna do? Where I get anxiety in relation to all of it is, I just hate that I'm gonna be dead and gone before we figure out all that cool shit. But like, I hate that we're gonna miss out on so much knowledge and advancement. I'm happy that that'll happen, but like, I'm jealous as well.
Yeah.
You mean like, what do you mean, like, what kind of advances, Joe?
The more things that we discover about the universe, the farther we go into it, like the science that we create. Like, I'd love to be around when we touch foot on another planet or the next, or actually get something into another galaxy. You know what I mean? But like, we'll miss some of it, but we've also seen and been through so much that I can't I can't be
like, aren't you tired, Joe?
too upset.
You good? What more do you need?
Yeah.
We've seen enough.
I think we'll just miss getting our brains, like our conscious brains, put into like everlasting cubes, and I think I'm okay with that.
I did do a video about that a while
What's
ago.
the deal?
I talked to
what's
this
the
guy.
update?
This is his whole area of study, and called him on the phone. And I was like, okay, so our video, we want to know when we're going to download our brain. And he's like, well, Trace, let me answer that. I don't plan to die in my body on this planet or in this century. And I was like,
Whoa.
okie dokie. Cool. Great. I think
What
you're going to be the guy
confidence.
for this video then.
Yeah. I don't want to die. I don't plan on dying in this body on, what did he say?
In this body, on this planet, or in this century.
Why is that such a badass thing to say?
I don't know.
That's so fun.
That's
It
his
stuck
Twitter
with
bio.
me.
Or in this century. Oh my goodness. I guess if you're doing that kind of work, you have to be pretty, like, that's your thing. Like, you have to be confident that it can happen if it's ever going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. You have to be like, we're going to reinvent everything. And it's like, but then you end up, I don't know, inventing silly putty. I'm not sure where the like cutoff is, but yeah, I feel like at some point, if you're a dreamer, you got to dream big.
Yeah.
But
that
his
is a big
day-to-day,
dream.
like, his day-to-day job is like looking at slices of mouse brains. So, I mean, this guy was fascinating.
Wow. A doctor of something, I'm assuming? Like a...
Yeah, he's a neuroscientist. I don't know what specialty he was offhand, but yeah, because they're using mice as like the experiments now. So what they were doing is slicing the brains into increasingly smaller and smaller slices, trying to scan them, and then define what every little piece is, so that they can, if you downloaded it into code, you could say like, okay, when the brain does this, the brain does that, it means this in the code, or it means that in the code. I mean, I'm obviously really simplifying, but based on how I understood
great job.
That's
a great simplification.
But then it still doesn't take into account living brains and how hormones might change all of that code. So we're still really far off.
Right.
From that.
Yeah, because it's always growing and changing. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Joe, are you having
I'm
like a little crisis
overwhelmed.
moment? Are we going to
No,
get
you
cut
guys
off at
keep
any second?
you guys keep the conversation going. I'm just going to bite the bullet and buy the plan since we need it. So
Oh.
Yeah,
you guys keep going. Talk about let's transition to like what you're doing on your channel now and
Sure.
and because it's awesome. I just
come-
watched the Poppy video. Tell Elliot about the Poppy video.
Poppy as in Poppy the singer?
Oh my gosh, I forgot that Poppy existed until just now.
Yeah, she's great.
Remember when Poppy was the future?
I mean,
Did she stop being the future? I mean,
she was the embodiment of it.
Is Poppy
Yeah.
the future the way Dippin Dots are the future?
absolutely.
Like just the future forever, no matter what time period you're looking?
Nostalgic future.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a movie that's set in 2050 that has Dippin' Dots, the ice cream of the future, in it when it still says the ice cream of the future. But then they just go get regular ice cream because why the hell would you not just
Why would you not? Yeah. Did you see that Dippin' Dots used their coolers to like keep the vaccines apparently like refrigerated because they needed them, so they donated their ice cream of
good
the
on 'em.
future, helped save some vaccines, I guess. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for Dippin' Dots.
Well, how do you come up with ideas, Trace? What do you do? I'm
Yeah.
gonna steal every nugget of the process from you, not the ideas, just how you do it.
My idea process, I don't even know, man. Like, I woke up the other night at 3 a.m. and opened up my notes app and started typing stuff that I was thinking about while I was asleep, I guess. I don't really know where it came from. But sometimes I just see an article and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Or I'll see a video that somebody, might tweet a video and be like, oh, that's a neat idea. I can science something like that. But I just did a video with Tom Scott for his channel about poppies, and that was something that I thought about for a long time. Essentially, poppy seeds, which we eat and have eaten since Neolithic times, I think, they come from the poppy flower, which is also where opioids come from. And so the seeds actually grow in a seed pod coated in what is essentially raw opium. And yet we sell them at, Stop and Shop or whatever. Like you can go to the store and just pick up poppy seeds. And so I thought that is a weird thing. How come they aren't related to the drug? And it turns out, there's the poppy seed defense, which is famously, now I know this because I didn't watch this show, but in Seinfeld, Elaine had a problem where she ate a poppy seed bagel and then failed a drug test. And I thought, that seems like a cool idea. So what if I try and do that myself and document the whole process and see if there's if it actually is real or if it's a myth? And so that was the video I ended up releasing with Tom. It was really fun to try because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got so fucking high.
And I met God. It's crazy.
And he was like, nice poppies. And I was like...
Yeah, that's great, right? At least great.
I was like, thanks.
So
your Dippin Dots are really good. Do you have any up here?
Check 1 2 1 2. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ad read portion of the podcast. And by ad read, I mean rad read. Yeah, ain't that right, Hayden? Yeah, she agrees, and she's the youth. So now it's officially cool. This one is on us this week. We wanted to use this ad read space to tell you that the movie game was successfully funded on Kickstarter because of all of you rad people out there in the world, and that it's also still available. A lot of times when Kickstarters close, that cuts off your chance to be able to order it, but we have pre-orders still up that we are going to keep up for the next month or so as we get closer to a manufacturing date. So right now, if you're still interested in movie game or any of the expansions, or you have friends or family that you think would love playing the game, people that love card games, people that love movies, or people that just love comedy and having a good laugh, it's available. So go over to bit.ly.com/movie game and go check it out. We've got the TV show movie game expansion pack and the video game movie game expansion pack, along with the 300 card base pack. And been plugging along at it a lot. Right, Hayden? Yeah, she's the youth, so you have to believe her. So yeah, that's it. Please go check out movie game. Please share it. Please spread the word. We'd love for this to do very well so we can do more in the future. And we have some ideas. This has been pretty fun. All right, back to Trace. Right, Hayden? She doesn't know who Trace is.
Seamless transition. Joe, welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Valleycast. If you're just joining us, we're here with Trace Dominguez, who is high off his mind in poppy seeds.
That's totally my brand.
Oh nope, we don't hear you though.
I'm muted right now. I was muted.
There we go.
No, I'm not muted.
Welcome back.
So we left with you
talking about whatever Elliot's question was.
Poppy seeds. Yeah. How much did you take?
Yeah. So I the first thing I did was I went to Amazon and I bought some tests to take. So I bought the tests. I peed on one of the tests to get a control, which is like, I'm not high right now. I am not going to test positive for any opiate at this point. And so I kept them because, what are you going to do? But keep a bunch of sticks you peed on. So this is stick number 7.
It's beautiful.
Is that
your favorite?
So here's
Which
the
one's your
control.
favorite? Oh, that's the control.
Yeah, there it is.
And you also peed on 17 other different objects to make sure that the object that you were peeing on was actually the correct thing to pee on.
And not on drugs.
I'm very glad you pointed out that's how you do a double-blind study. You just pee on everything, and then one of them tells you that you were negative, and it's fine. You just don't know which one's going to tell you.
Yeah, Joe's basically a scientist.
Yeah.
It's so
what can I say?
He's so good.
Guys, did you know that a triple blind study is that you just do it blindfolded and just piss everywhere?
There you go. Yeah.
Maybe you peed on this stick. Maybe you didn't. No one knows.
Yeah.
That's triple blind. That's the best science you can do.
That's what we call triple blind, baby.
So I did that. I went to like a bagel place in Santa Monica and I bought some bagels because they looked really poppy seedy. And everything I had read said that not every poppy seed type and not every, depending on the process, they might not. So I thought, okay, I did this for like weeks and weeks and weeks before I knew I needed to get the video together because I was like, I might have to go to a bunch of bagel places. I might have to do this a bunch of times. So if you need any opiate pee tests, I got like 50 more. You can have some. Old
I ate... Scratchy Jim in the back just perked up. He's like, you give him a test?
So I ended up only having to I ate 2 bagels to start just the tops that had most of the poppy seeds on them, watching my figure. And then
Absolutely.
Then I waited 2 hours and I peed on the stick and it said that I tested positive for opiates. And I was like, what? This is crazy. And so I did that. I did. It just was the first try. That's how easy it was. It was so crazy.
So Seinfeld was basically a documentary.
Yeah. As it turns out.
That's good to know.
And you didn't go nuts. You had two.
Poppy seeds, Joe. Not nuts. Poppy seeds.
Yeah, legumes. You just had two. It doesn't take much.
No, it didn't take much at all. And so I just ate the 2 bagels, peed on a stick, and I tested positive 2 hours after I ate the bagels, and then continued to test positive for another 36 hours. I just tested myself again every 12 hours or something. And so
they should tell this to people, right?
Yeah, so the video essentially, without giving away too much, because then I also recorded, I went to a lab to official, whatever, corporate lab, and got tested there as well. And that's when things got really crazy. So essentially this was a thing that was happening in the 80s and 90s, and even into now it still does happen, but they changed the requirements for positive tests from what had previously been 300 nanograms per liter or milliliter or whatever in your urine to 2,000 nanograms. So they essentially said you won't test positive unless you exceed that level, and 300 nanograms is apparently pretty easy to exceed, whereas 2,000 is much harder, and probably you were actually on some kind of opioid as opposed to just eating something with poppy seeds in it. So, yeah.
Cool.
It was
fascinating.
Really fun. It was a fun video to put together, and that's the first time it was probably one of the more involved videos that I've made for myself, which was really, that's the kind of video I want to be doing more of, and it's just been tough being in COVID sometimes.
It was done very well. It was entertaining, it was fun, I was educated, and it was right up it was right up the alley of a Tom Scott, who I'm a huge fan of. Good God.
Yeah.
Guy's great. And yeah, it just made sense that it was on it. And you're experiencing a little bit of a channel boost because of it, right? How's that feel?
I got a whole bunch of new subscribers who are watching all of my back catalog and going through and making comments, and it's been awesome. And people joined my Patreon, and I was like, holy crap, that's you. I must have done something right.
Which is where?
Trace Dominguez, patreon.com/Trace Dominguez.
Hell yeah.
/ the Valleyfolk. We'll just go to patreon.com.
Trace is at patreon.com/the Valleyfolk, and also bit.ly.com/movie game.
Movie game.
Amazing. So
go give Trace some support and love over there.
It was really awesome. I mean, when I quit, my confidence was just in the toilet after, I started using this YouTube channel. I was getting very low views, which views are a terrible metric. Let's be honest.
Most of the metrics, it really hurts.
Most of the metrics we use are terrible. They're
I like them. I want all of them.
But so after, a year or two of just doing this, just being I want to do this. I want to try. This has been a really nice validation that I made a video that was number 11 on trending. That's nuts.
Amazing.
You deserve it.
And
Your
you did
great.
it.
Yeah.
Start to finish, you did it.
Right.
You found the idea, thought about it, went through the work, went through the process. You tested positive for drugs, man. You deserve a success. You clearly have overcome it, and that's beautiful. I'm proud of you. Incredibly inspiring.
Sorry, I was looking at the galaxy. I wasn't listening. What were you saying?
I know. We're all just small.
I can't wait for your follow-up videos. Your new series is just drugs on bagels, and we'll just see how far you take it.
Yeah, just get an eyedropper and start putting stuff on food and seeing what we can do.
Tested positive for chive cream cheese. My goodness. Calm down.
What are some of because like you said, you have a back catalog, and I personally think that's the best way to finally find success, is that once they see something that they love, they're like, what's all this other stuff? And the fact that it's there, it can hook further. But anyways, what are some of your favorite videos that you've done prior to this? If people were interested, that they could go check out.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly because of COVID, I can't leave the house, so I've been making series of videos. So 5 videos releasing every other weekday for a week and a half at a time. So I'll take a month, make 5 videos, and then release them all really fast, where I talk to experts about stuff. So one of the ones that I did recently was about brain-computer interfaces, which is really nuts. this idea that you just like hook up something to the brain and then move a robot arm. And so I found a few people who this is what they do for a living, and I talked to them, and we talked about like how and why and where we're gonna go, and where we started, you know, how it started, how it's going. That's basically every one of these, and then also where we're gonna be. That's kind of how these series run every time. And so it's like it's been really cool to kind of, one, I love talking to experts just because they're immersed in this every day. And so COVID has made everybody really available, which has been awesome. So that one is really cool. I also do, like, when I can get out of the house, I did one where I went and talked to a bunch of taxidermists, which is really, really nuts as well. Like,
yeah, that's fascinating.
People
How were they? Were they normal and as normal as you would imagine?
As normal as you would imagine, with people who have a freezer filled with dead animals that are probably other people's pets in their basements.
Pet taxidermy?
Yeah, some of it was pets, but the idea is that I wanted to figure. I was at the Natural History Museum LA, and I was looking at the exhibits, right? And there's all these like lions that are like rah, like
they're
just
pretty cool.
Stuffed, and they're really cool. And I thought, how long has that lion been there? Like what? Where that lion? Where did it come from? And that's sort of what you were saying earlier, Elliot, about like where ideas come from. I was literally standing there and thought I had this question, and there's not an easy way to answer it, so I made a video.
Yeah.
And it turns out some of them have been there for 100 years.
Whoa!
That the reason that they're covered in glass so you don't touch them isn't just because they don't want you to touch them. It's because they're coated in arsenic to keep the bugs away from them. Like, just wild stuff.
Silverfish and stuff.
It's just crazy.
So they probably have to worry about all sorts of things.
Yeah, they have to worry about all sorts of little like buggies eating away.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I'm trying. Well, who's the coolest that you've done? What are you working on next? And what would be your dream scenario for like talking to an expert?
Wow, dream scenario. I don't even know. I mean,
I'm thinking time travel. If you could, I think you could go time travel.
Time travel would be really awesome to talk about with an expert. It would have been great to talk to somebody like Stephen Hawking, just because one, he's good at talking. I mean, good at typing, and then his computer talks.
Yeah.
But you get the point. Like, he's a good conversationalist. He knows how to present stuff in a really cool way. So sadly won't get to do that. But it'd be cool to talk to somebody who even like does professional science communication, like Bill Nye, or somebody, somebody who takes science and makes it accessible. Someone else who does that would be the dream to talk to.
Dude, Bill Nye has been just killing it. Like what you said with accessibility and being able to break it down. His TikTok game is
I didn't even know he was on TikTok.
Yeah.
Gotta get over there.
Yeah.
I need to get over there.
That's cool.
He broke down why racism is bullshit from a scientifically biological and geographical point of view on TikTok, and I was just like, this guy just needs to talk more. This guy, let's just hear this guy do this more.
Yeah,
so cool.
So that would be cool. I mean, there are a lot of people that I would just love to talk to about just somebody I don't know who does something really cool in the sciences. It's weird, but like that's the dream of somebody to find who hasn't talked about it yet, right? I went to the Large Hadron Collider. I've actually been twice, which I was super lucky to get a tour of in 2016.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
2017? I don't even know now. Anyway, so we went on the tour, and I was just talking to like this gal. She's from Spain. She lives in Geneva, working here, and her whole job is a beam physicist. Her job is to make sure that the atoms of hydrogen that are flying around the Large Hadron Collider at like 0.9 whatever the speed of light, like 99.9 whatever, that they're consistent. Because if you think about it, it's just like your car where something might start squeaking, somebody gets wobbly. If that happens at 99.9% the speed of light, things could go wrong. So it's her whole job is to just keep it as level and even as possible so that the scientists can do their work.
With her
and
mind.
I was just like,
magic mind stuff.
This is your whole job. And so we talked for like an hour and a half about that.
Every day she gets up and she's like, I gotta make sure this beam doesn't blow up.
Basically. Let's not forget how big the Hadron Collider is.
Yeah.
It's not like this small little machine in a room.
Yeah.
Yeah, how big is it? Do you get I don't know how big. I know it's huge.
26 kilometers around, 22 kilometers around. And it spans the borders of France and Switzerland. So it's like you have to drive back and forth in different countries depending on where you need to go. And you have to drive from place to place because it's also like far underground. So like you're driving around and you're like, okay, cool. Here's this like big building. You go inside and there's an elevator down to this like tunnel. And maybe you're in Switzerland and maybe you're in France. And it's just like the whole project is crazy. And video that I would love to make was almost in Texas with the superconducting super collider in the 1990s. They almost built one there.
Yeah.
Never happened. It's just an abandoned building now, which I don't know about you guys. I love abandoned buildings, so I would love to just go wander
They're so
around
cool.
and just see.
I started following an Instagram account recently of like abandoned things, like photography.
Oh God,
of just stuff,
so
rusty
cool.
tricycles and yeah.
Why do we like
abandoned
that stuff?
water parks and abandoned theme parks. It's like one of the coolest.
It's
things.
another like underground weird genre on TikTok. I'll see my daughter looking at them like they're just accounts dedicated to, hey, we're gonna go just explore these old mines and train trestles and just go underground and see what we find.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Oh.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, right. That'd be great.
That'd be so awesome.
It's like that show. What is it? Underground Cities or Underground History or whatever. Like, I think it's a history or a discovery show. Very, very good. But Trace, I'm so happy for you. You're killing it, and I think what you
Thanks.
do is important. And it's okay that we're not all experts at the things that we're passionate about and want to talk about, because then you can become a conduit for people. And I think that's what you're doing. You're breaking it down and you're making it palatable for people. So, man, yeah, thank you. It's so good.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah.
Pretty soon, someone's going to be doing a podcast on Zoom, and we're going to be like, who would you want to work with? And they're going to be like, Trace Dominguez is the most popular science communicator right now. And they're going to be like, okay, that's the dream. Mm-hmm. You're basically going to be the next Bill Nye, is what I'm saying.
That sounds awesome. I'd love to do that.
I think it'd be cool.
This
I would like
future
to do
person can just send me a tweet on whatever we're using in the future.
Yeah.
Send me a flurgan.
Parlor. Joe's on Parlor.
Oh
so
yeah,
he'll
okay,
be
yeah. Send me a
Crazy
parlay.
over there right now. It's
So,
they're not called tweets. They're called screams to the void.
Yeah. Death rattles.
do you think there's a lot of like jokes on? I just picture Parlor as everyone's serious all the time. Nobody ever makes a joke. Everybody's just like, let's just do this now, and it's just like that's
Yeah.
Nobody's
It's
out there
very serious.
just like sending memes at each other that are not political. They're just like, hey, look at this cute dog. Like there's never been a Parlor that's just unclench your jaw. They're out there being like, clench up, clench.
Clench your jaw.
Every bio is, let's do this now.
I made a post that just said, "Oh God, I'm so lonely," just to see if anybody responded.
And they just said, swallow your feelings.
Swallow, yeah. Facts don't care. Facts don't care about your feelings. Whatever the phrase is.
That's so funny. All right, outside of YouTube, all that stuff, we're getting near the end. But how's life going for you? How are you enjoying LA?
Well,
Crazy things happen.
let's see. I got married this year, which is cool. I like being
Congrats.
married. It's nice to have a partner who can't leave without legal proceedings, so that's nice. We were going to go get married in Brazil. Obviously, we couldn't get married in Brazil like we had planned, but we just went down to the beach and, said some things to each other and then got drunk, and it was great. That was really fun.
That's beautiful.
That actually sounds perfect.
It was nice. It was really nice at the end.
When did you get? When was it? What's the anniversary?
October was when we did that. We don't really know what our anniversary was because we originally had planned. Like we signed all the legal paperwork at the end of like December 30th of the previous year with the plan to be in Brazil for like our anniversary that we had picked for our wedding date. And then the pandemic happened, so we moved it to October. So then we did the thing in October, and but then October is pretty close to the end of the year again, so we're not really sure. But yeah,
I like that.
we did our ring exchange and like set our vows in October. So it's just been a few months. It's been really fun.
That sounds very beautiful.
Yeah, so that was good. Otherwise, LA, I've heard it's nice, but my apartment is really cool. So that's mostly what I've been doing.
Your apartment's the best part.
That's the only place I've really been in LA other than the beach for this wedding time and wandering around a little bit. But because of the pandemic, we haven't really got to explore LA much. So any recommendations, please send them my way. I'd love to know where I should go and see in LA because, once we can go outside again, I have a big
I really
list.
like the Sunset Tower across from the Comedy Store. The restaurant at the top is really cool.
Nice. Okay. I'll
So,
put it
but
on the
whenever
list.
that ever happens,
Yeah, go there. Also, the Magic Castle. If you've never done the Magic Castle,
I did. I went
haven't
once. It was
you're
cool.
ahead of me.
It was really fun.
yeah,
Oh.
it's like a different time. It's totally cool. It's so much fun.
Yeah. It was really
Trace,
fun.
can I interest you in a round of movie game before we head out?
I'm ready. I'm
Okay.
ready.
Let your conscience be your guide, as this real boy escapes from a chain gang and navigates the deep south on an odyssey to retrieve buried treasure and avoid becoming a man of constant sorrow.
And I just have to pick which movie that could be.
It's
That would
two
be-
titles smashed together.
I have to.
So it's two. The first part is one movie title. The second part is a second movie title, and they smash together perfectly. The last syllable becomes the first syllable of the second word.
Pinocchio, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And movie game is currently available for pre-order down in the description, folks. Thank you so much.
That's
You want one
fun.
more? That was really good. You nailed it.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou is my favorite movie.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
so good. Great choice.
It's so the soundtrack's fun. There's little jokes and quips and everybody in it is so funny and just spot on.
Yeah.
Really funny.
Yeah, I quote that.
frightening.
Yes. Yeah.
Cows, I hate cows, and he just
yeah.
unloads a machine gun on the cow. It's so funny.
Yeah. And the guy who sold his soul to the devil to play the guitar. And I was watching a different movie and they were like, he sold his soul to the devil to play the guitar real good. And I was like, oh, I know that guy from this other movie. This isn't going to be a
that's
crossover, is it? It was too perfect.
That's wonderful.
They're so good.
All right, you want one more?
Yeah, let me try. I can only go
right.
down from here.
I'm so impressed that you got that. That was so good. All right. 9 crisscrossing stories centered around affection during the holidays, including one about the alcoholic who returns to Sin City to drink himself to death but gets sidetracked by prostitute love. That's so stupid, Joe. I don't even remember this one. Prostitute love.
9 crisscrossing stories. So that's either Valentine's Day or New Year's Eve or Love Actually or St. Christopher's Day or whatever those are.
Yeah.
But the second one, I don't know if I know the second one. I assume Sin City the movie, but just because you said it in the clue makes me think that probably would be bad.
Well,
Yep.
what's another
So-
name for Sin City?
What happens there, Trace? Better stay there.
Yeah, Leaving Las Vegas.
Okay, you've said
So?
both movies.
I have, but I haven't put them together. So it's Love Actually doesn't end in L.
What?
Mhm.
What?
It's phonetics,
What?
not necessarily just words.
You got it.
I think you got it.
Love Actually Leaving Las Vegas?
Now, squeeze those 2 syllables together better.
Love Actually Leaving Las Vegas. Oh!
Beautiful. Beautifully done.
Thank you for the hints.
was-
That really helped. You literally walked those together for
Yeah.
me, but it was
That's Joe's very good at just being like, it's over here, it's over there a little bit, little
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
left, little. There you go.
Really good
Wonderful
for
job.
hearing it about the game for the first time.
Yeah,
That's fun. That's a
That
fun
just
game.
speaks to-
I love that.
it's crazy. I'm so excited about it. Anyway, well,
My movie stopped recording. Hold on a second.
I mean, we're basically.
Come on. Just put a still image
Yeah.
that says technical difficulties on that part of it. That's fine.
Yep.
They might have to.
One
What
of
do you?
those
Yeah,
old
man.
TV screens.
I might be gone for a second or two, but that's okay. One last one, just to give it to you, and it's one of my favorites, just off of the top of my head, because it's my new favorite one to say. A little girl befriends a magically rotund creature that loves tiny umbrellas and cat buses, that gets the crap beat out of it within an inch of its life, only to come back as a no-nonsense cybernetic man of the law.
Wow. What's the name
What
of
was
that?
the first one, Joe?
A girl befriends a mythical rotund beast that loves tiny umbrellas in cat buses.
Amazing.
That gets gang beaten within an inch of its life to only come back as a no-nonsense cybernetic man of the law.
I would watch this movie. This would be the most epic crossover ever. Let's be honest. I mean, my neighbor Totoro RoboCop.
Yeah!
That's just... I mean...
It's going to be a great pin.
I would watch that.
Yeah, that's great. Dude, you're the best. Thank you. Do one more round of where they should go to find you for all your stuffs.
For sure. Please come find me. I'm on all of the social medias at Trace Dominguez, and that is also my YouTube channel, so youtube.com/Trace Dominguez. And then also my Patreon even. I got really, over the years, anytime one would come up, I'd snap my own name up. Not that a lot of other people were competing. So whoever the other Trace Dominguez is, if there is another one, too bad for you. They're all mine.
Or you're welcome.
Yeah, or thank you.
Trace, I just followed you on Instagram, and you can do it at 2 home, folks. Just go to @Trace Dominguez on all the socials.
Thank you, Elliot. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's nice to see you guys. I'm glad things are going so well.
Thank you very much, Trace. It's very fun. We just choked up. We were like, how do we respond? We don't know how to.
I don't take compliments well.
Yeah,
Bye!
We don't have... Bye, Trace.
Bye.
All right, so I'm going to stop my recordings again.